Hey guys, Scare9 here, welcome back to my channel today, and I just want to say something. Grandmaster Nightfalls are pound for pound the most rewarding and honestly the best set of activities in the game currently, at least ones that are being actively updated. They are much more rewarding than raids. Sure, I personally would rather go run a raid, I find that a lot of fun, but I feel like they do not respect my time as much as Grandmaster Nightfalls do. Grandmaster Nightfalls reward things like Ascendant Shards, Enhancement Prisms, Enhancement Cores, and a ton of 60, 65 plus roll exotics that, make this one of the greatest activities that we have probably ever had across the entirety of Destiny. Now, I think that a lot of people are not currently utilizing them to the max of their potential, and I just want to stress how important it is that you guys go farm these before Beyond Light hits. When Beyond Light hits, you're not going to want to go back to Grandmasters and farm things like Ascendant Shards. You're just going to want to play the new activities. So you should prepare now so that you can play the game later, or at least the new activities later, instead of having to worry about all of these upgrading materials. Now, what I will say is the real intent of this video is to make a tier list of the best Grandmasters to farm. That being said, next week from the 15th of September to the 22nd of September, Bungie has announced that there will be double Grandmaster Nightfall rewards. So right now you are guaranteed 1 Ascendant Shard per run with a Platinum run. With, a Platinum run next week, you are guaranteed 2 and can get upwards of 4. You pretty much get an exotic every 2 out of 3 runs, maybe 1 out of every 2 somewhere in there. And so you are almost guaranteed an exotic every single run with double Nightfall rewards. This is huge. So please make sure you guys are taking advantage of the double drops on the Lake of Shadows next week. But the whole point of this list is Bungie has 2 more months of this game to fill that we originally did not expect them to have to fill, which means they're going to have to do a lot of events like this. And I don't think this is the last time we are going to see double Grandmaster Nightfall drops this season. So I want to go ahead, break down the best Nightfalls to farm just in case down the line, while all 6 Grandmaster Nightfalls are available in a week, Bungie announces double Grandmaster Nightfall loot. That way you guys know which ones you should be farming. So let's go ahead and jump into it. The last one, the one that you should never touch, not even with like a 20-foot pole. If you are not going for Conqueror, there's no reason for you to go into this Nightfall. That is going to be the Corrupted. It is incredibly tedious. It is very long. The entire strike takes a lot of coordination, a lot of thought on your builds, and very specific Guardian classes. And honestly, it's just not worth your time. So if you are not going for Conqueror, you're just in this for the loot, do not touch Corrupted. There are a couple cheeses to make your time a little bit easier, especially towards the end of the boss fight, but it's still not worth the time investment in my opinion. The next worst one is going to be Garden World. Do not farm Garden World. Once again, even with double loot drops, it is not worth it. It is a very long strike, and if you do not have perfect DPS on the boss fight to insta-melt him, you are probably going to die. This is a very tough boss battle. The rest of the strike, I would say, isn't that bad. It's like a 7 out of 10 or so, but the boss battle is incredibly difficult. So if you are going for loot and not the Conqueror title, once again, just stay away from it. The next one is going to be the Festering Core. This one's actually really easy. I went into the season thinking it was going to be very difficult. It turned out to be either the second or the third easiest one this season. It's really not that bad. The problem is in order to make it this easy, you have to sit back about a mile away from all of your enemies and shoot them. And then when you get to the area with all the red laser death wall things, you obviously have to take that very slow as well. And then the boss fight is damage gated. It's a lot of hiding in corners and just waiting for him to die from anarchy. So the average run for this is going to be like 35 to 45 minutes. And that's just not adequate time investment for your rewards when you have all of these other strikes available potentially. So I probably would not farm Festering Core with double loot. The next one that you might want to actually farm for double loot is going to be Strange Terrain. This one's really not that bad. It does take a lot of coordination though. There are 2 instances in this strike where you kind of drop down and there are 4 barrier knights just waiting for you. And then in the first one, there's actually, in addition to that, an unstoppable ogre as well. So it can get really intense in a lot of these rooms. That being said, it's a very short strike. Nokris, if you use Wardcliff, is an easy 2-phase. It's really not that bad of a farm, but you need to have a pretty experienced, a well-seasoned, and just a team that works together really well in order to really get through this one in enough time to make it worthy of farming compared to the other ones. But the 2 that you should really just farm, including the one that is available next week for double loot, are going to be Savathun's Song and Lake of Shadows. I tie them almost exactly even in my mind. And here's why. Savathun's Song is a longer strike. It probably takes around 18 to 23 minutes for a well-experienced team to get through it, I'd say. Somewhere in there if you've done it a couple of times. It is a longer strike. That being said, in my opinion, it is by far the easiest Grandmaster this season. You only have to worry about unstoppables and barriers. There's not even that many of them at a time. It's very simple to get through this, especially if you have like 1 Invis Hunter and a Bubble Titan, and the rest doesn't really matter. This Nightfall, if you are an inexperienced team and you are just getting people off of LFG or something like that, it is absolutely the one that you should farm, in my opinion. Now, if you have a more experienced team, you don't mind doing something slightly harder for shorter run times, do Lake of Shadows. Lake of Shadows, I saw teams getting like 6, 7, 8 minute platinums, which is pretty freaking insane. I would say the average team probably will get somewhere around like 13 to 15 minutes if I had to guess. I've only done it a couple of times. And it is a little bit more difficult though. So you have the modifiers that make the taken blights push you back further. That can really fuck you over in some of these rooms. You get physicsed a lot. And in addition to that, there are the overload champions in this strike, especially on the bridge portion, which are much, much more difficult than both unstoppable and barrier champions. So you do have an extra thing to deal with. And so if you don't have a guy who's good with like overload bows or the divinity and 2 other people who can quickly kill overload champions, you are most certainly going to wipe, and you're going to waste more time trying to complete a shorter strike than just doing the easy strike of Savathun's Song. So the basic consensus is if you have a pretty good team, maybe a raid team, a couple of buds that you're very confident with, or you have some time to invest into a learning curve, Lake of Shadows is probably your most efficient farm. But if you're not as confident, you're a less experienced player, or you're just grabbing people off of LFG or in my Discord or something like that, then you might want to consider Savathun's Song, because while it is slightly longer, it is much safer, and honestly, you might end up wasting less time because you're not dying as much. So that is my spiel on the Grandmaster Nightfalls. I think this season they did an amazing job. I actually like season 11 Grandmasters better than season 10. I think there's a lot more diversity with weapons you have to use, especially with characters you have to use. I had a lot of fun this season. I cannot wait to see how they evolve Grandmaster Nightfalls going forward, and I really hope instead of nerfing their loot, they bring raids and dungeons and other things up to the loot tiers of Grandmaster Nightfalls, because I love how rewarding they are. I love how challenging they can be, and they're just a lot of fun. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like rating and to share it with your friends. If you're interested in watching either of the 2 videos on screen, you can click their respective annotation to be taken to them. If you're brand new to my channel, make sure to the giant version of my logo on screen to be subscribed to my awesome Destiny 2 videos and live streams. Thank you guys so much for watching today, and I will see you in my next video.